success stories told by the people who lived them.
We're going to have some guests on this show that everybody knows, and we're going to have guests on this show that nobody knows yet.
One by one, Nick Hyder is adding hits to the Hitstreak.
Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Hitstreak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. And folks, it might look like it's a little extra bright today if you're watching with us. And it is, because I got a double dose of star power. Joining me in the Hit Lab today, folks, they are both previous Hitstreak guests. It's their second time back. However, this time they're coming together. And that is the magic that is this episode, folks. I've got the man himself, Mr. Drew Maddux, back in the building, as well as my guy, Virgil Herring. What's happening, fellas?
All good, man. Double dipping our chip in this one.
And I was just sitting here thinking, you know, we must have done a decent enough job that Nick would invite us back. So
that's exactly.
I took it as a compliment, maybe. I don't know about you, Virgil, but honored to be back with you, of course, Nick.
I took it as a compliment that you would come back.
Yeah.
Well, right on, man. Well, I know that you guys have been busy. Like, Drew, you specifically, every time I look online, I feel like I'm seeing you pouring into a group on a stage somewhere. Virgil, we've played a little bit of golf together this fall. You just, you wrapped your TEDx not long ago. You guys got a lot going on, man. I know you wrapped your book series that you did a podcast about, just wrapped, and we're getting into the future, man. Like, what's next for you guys? I'm so excited.
Well, I think that both of us have strategically placed ourselves in a situation where we wrote a book, and then we realized the power of a podcast, which we've talked about on this podcast before. The power of the podcast is huge, and that gave us a different voice and a different way to describe the words that we used in our books. And then in the process of trying to cultivate a business platform where we go and help companies elevate themselves through their mission statement or whatever, the changes that they're trying to implement into their company. That's why I base my TEDx on. And what Drew is doing at Ashley, they're seamlessly tied together so that when Elevated and Excavated are finished, and now they are finished, we can take this prepackaged arsenal of information that is all about encouraging, elevating, and helping people prosper through their own goals, to provide a level of entertainment and education to help people move where they want to go in their company.
That's pretty dang. He nailed that one, didn't he? Yeah. Well, that's it's so cool because like, one of the things I love to talk about is how beginnings always hide themselves in ends. You know what I mean? And again, you guys did over 100 episodes in your podcast that was just based on your book series, right?
Yeah, each book had 50 chapters, and so we walked through the entirety of all 100 chapters, all spinning a podcast episode specifically around each of the words.
That's fantastic. The books were called, if you didn't know, folks, Elevated and Excavated. That's both. Elevated is one book, Excavated is the other one. Where can they purchase those books, guys?
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com.
And they will be under like Elevated by Virgil Herring and Drew Maddux, and then it shows up. There's a bunch of Elevateds, but if you put it in with Virgil Herring,
but there's only one Elevated.
Yeah, there is only one.
Clearly. Let's make sure we state that.
All bold-facing capital.
That's right. That's right. And the podcast is both names of the books, Elevated and Excavated, and that's anywhere you stream a podcast.
That's exactly right.
Fantastic. Folks, if you didn't know who we're talking to, Virgil's a PGA professional, longtime PGA professional, podcaster and author, as we just mentioned. And Drew he's done a lot of things. He's an EVP and also a podcaster and an author, right? So, man, like this is a really cool time for me, selfishly, because when you get to see guys like you guys in your transition from one chapter to the next, where one thing has led to the next, it's the end of one and the beginning of the next thing. I don't know, Drew. Let's start with you. What's the thing you're most excited about with the packaged product that you guys have, and how you're going to get it out to the masses?
I think when I sit here and I think about what excites me the most is I'm living right now in liminal space. And it parallels to actually my coaching philosophy of what I try to do in the lives of those that I invest in. And what I mean by that is, the original definition of a coach was a transportation device of someone of importance from point A to point B, usually drawn by horses. And that's the original 1500s definition. And I think of myself as a coach. I think of you, Nick, as a coach, and of course, Virgil as a coach. There's no higher calling to that. So what that means is you're constantly trying to think about two gaps that exist in every human. One is the becoming gap, who they are today and who they're becoming, and trying to shrink that potential and take them on a journey of that in order that they can start to recognize the needs of the world around them in order to make the impact that they were created to make and shrink the capability gap. All that to say is you have these two spaces that exist within liminal space of human beings. And I find myself in that space right now. So we've done all of these things. And there's the becoming aspect of what is next and what does next begin to look like in order that as Virgil has grown in his process, as Drew has grown in his process, we can go out and shrink the gap of full capability to unleash the power and impact that we can have on the world in the ways we were created to make. And so we are transitioning through this liminal space, or this chrysalis, if you would, of this becoming in order to make even more of an intense impact that is before us.
Virgil, how you feel about that?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, that was about as well said
I agree.
that there could have ever been said, and which is what makes what I'm looking forward to the most is, like, generally speaking, I've been blessed to have been around many people in my life that have nudged me forward and given me a vision or just a little pull in the right direction. But nobody that I can think of has done that as much as Drew. So it's a combination effect of what we can do together. But more than anything, we started this as just to write a book because Drew hadn't written a book, and I'd written one by myself, and I thought it was pretty boring. I thought it'd be pretty cool to do something together. And in the process of doing something together, I realized that I was getting more out of it personally than I felt like I was giving out, even though the whole reason for us to do it was what we were going to be able to give out. And my cup was getting full every day. And I just think that it's such an important thing in life to have somebody fill your cup up, because as coaches, we give out a lot.
Right.
You know, we're always, the batteries are being drained because we pour into others, but I was not expecting then the pour out that we were doing that I was going to get poured into. And I'm not sure that I've met anybody who can pour in to somebody like Drew. That's what I'm looking forward to the most, actually.
Wow.
What's, you know, it's so cool as a businessman and life journeys. There's always people that you love and you want to do business with and you look up to. And it was my buddy Bradley that when he was telling the story about how he founded Lightspeed, instead of he said, well, he basically said I was getting my butt kicked in the training space by Grant Cardone and Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar, so I created a product that I knew they needed. So now I'm collaborating with them instead of competing with them. And I know you guys weren't necessarily competing against each other, but it just shows the power of collaboration. My business blew up when I brought my wife on board. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like two is better than one, if it's the right two, anyways.
Yeah. Well, I think back to it, and I played basketball, so it's clearly a team sport. But back to it, and I draw analogies really quickly, but, you know, every single day when we wake up, we flourish when we're a part of something bigger than ourselves. It's make no mistake about it. When you're part of a cause that is pulling you in a direction, but the second part of the equation is so crucial, and what makes me love Virgil so very much in this is you do it in relationship with somebody that's like-minded and like-hearted, moving in this direction to something you couldn't do by yourself. That's when humans are fulfilled. That's when humans flourish. And that's when success tastes even better, is when you're doing it with somebody that you know you care for and cares for you deeply.
Man, absolutely. That's probably why I like, you know, the world of insurance was not something that I was very attracted to in the beginning, and I grew to love it. But ironically, if I think back about it, the more I loved it, it was the more involved my wife was. You know, so at the end of the day, my wife actually made me love the industry of insurance and working with those people. Obviously, we loved our clients and whatnot. So, well, it's, you know, what were some of the things you kind of spoke into this a little bit, especially you, Virgil, you know, well, first of all, how did you guys, I don't know if I talked about this before, how did you guys meet? Like, is there a story there?
So this is bizarre luck as there could be for this guy, for me, right? So it's a Christmas party, and it's now 4 years ago. and it's largely full of my clients.
So all this has happened in 4 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So a lot of these people are my biggest clients. The people who spend the most money for golf, it matters to them the most, and they use golf as a business tool. Mm-hmm. So I'm invited to go to this dinner at Sperry's. I have a lot of life happenings that are less than shiny to talk about going on, and I was choosing probably to not go because I just didn't want to be the negative energy that pulled the Christmas party down.
Right.
But I decided, you know what? I got to go to this one. I can't mess this one up. So I show up. I'm probably 45 minutes late.
And on my time then.
And I hate being late more than anything. And there's only one chair left.
Yeah.
And it's beside this really tall dude. So I plop down and I'm like, what's up, guys? And I'm shaking everybody's hands. And he's like, hey, Drew Maddux. I'm like, wait a second. Like, 3-point shooting Drew Maddux? He goes, yeah, that's me. He goes, man, I booed you off the court in 95. Because Mississippi State gave him a good whipping in Starkville. And I did not speak to anybody else the rest of the night.
That's awesome.
It was the craziest experience. I don't remember anything other than we just started talking about, I have this brain technology called Focus Band. And it allows me to train people to be in the zone. And Drew couldn't believe that. So I told him about how it worked and how I've made it work for golf and I've made it work for business.
Right.
I'm absolutely sure I can make it work for basketball. And I think it was like 2 days later, I was over in the gym with you.
Yeah.
And I showed him how we were going to do it. And it was uncanny. I mean, obviously he's a great shooter, but it was unbelievable how well he shot when I put him in the zone. And when you have that kind of technology and you are able to tangibly see that you're there.
Right.
And you can train that place just like you train your shooting technique, your golf swing technique, hitting technique, whatever. It's a trainable thing. The power is insane. And when we got going on that, he asked me all the right questions and I gave him all the right answers. And that's kind of how the book got, wow, this is going to be awesome. We fed off of each other. And then the book led us to a podcast when I was doing my On the Verge with Drew. I'm like, man, we should really try to do this with the book. And he's like, let's do it. So, I mean, every single thing that we've done, we've leaned into each other and just said, like, let's do it. Because I'm a big believer in saying yes and figuring it out.
Right.
So we didn't, he's never written a book. I wrote one. We figured out how to do it together. He didn't have a podcast. I did, but I was very early in the game in my podcast game. Boom, we did that. And now here we are looking to take it to the next level from there.
What was, when you're sitting down next to this guy, like, the Lord works in so many mysterious ways, but you got to have an open heart to receive these blessings from time to time, or every time, really. So here's Virgil, and he probably, as a professional, you didn't know he had the stuff he had mentioned going on right there. So you're sitting next to him. What were your thoughts when that happened?
Yeah, I was geeking out because, and I'll speak about Virgil now, the rest of the story, but, there's very few people, and I've spent my life obsessed with, addicted at studying, researched why great people are great at what they do. What is the separating factors? And can I glean a little bit of it and stick it in my own pocket to propel my story forward? And so when he sat down, we started talking about, focus band, quiet eye, flow state, all these kind of things. I just came alive. I remember this flame that was just starting to be energized. And so the more he spoke, the more captivated I got. And I was learning too. I love being a student. I love being coached. I get frustrated if I'm not coached. And so he starts teaching me, and he became the professor or the expert. And I just was the student. And I probably drilled him with 100 questions that night because I was so fascinated by this element of performance that I'd really never tapped into before. And then, 2 days later, to be on a basketball court, shooting free throws or 3-point shots, having the band on as a shooter, looking at the technology on the, on the screen, and realizing, the aspects of what really went into my performance improving, I was like, holy cow. Okay, so that's flow state, focus band, quiet eye kind of stuff. Okay, so what else? What goes above and beyond even that? So then it was like, okay, this guy is an expert, like the best of the best that there is at understanding and looking at where somebody is today and improving what they can become. And that's what I just told you was I wake up every day and I'm driven by that passion. And so the alignment just intersected and collided together, and it became this energy and this force that just has become this beautiful thing.
I got to play golf with him the other day.
I can't even imagine. I've not been so lucky.
And Dad's still talking about it. He's still talking about it. And but it was cool because, like, I don't golf very often, but I'm competitive and I want to be good at everything I do. And he was able to just say, hey man, like, I'm not a golfer. I golf for fun. And he was able to just say, hey, do this and make a couple small little tweaks. And all of a sudden I was a better teammate for the rest of the round. And it wasn't something I had to think long and hard about. It was just really cool. He's definitely, there's an art to give somebody information that they can immediately apply. I want to thank all of our loyal fans that spread across all 50 states and 14 different countries. It's absolutely amazing. Folks, help us keep spreading the word, right? Share your favorite episodes with friends and make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the Hitstreak on all digital platforms. Thanks again, and we look forward to more.
Think about that, what you just described in the golf swing, in your performance on a golf course, but taking that same application and be able to scale it and be versatile enough in every aspect of your life. Well, that's what he's done for me. He's made me better as a leader, as a coach. And then that goes into husband, being a father, and other aspects. So you rise in, not that we look at things in terms of a performance. I don't look at relational aspects in terms of performance driven, but certainly I want to be the best I can possibly be for the other party. Well, he has made me better in terms of looking at, analyzing, and then moving me forward in my growth of my process in that, of what you experience on the golf course. I got to do it every week on a podcast that made me better every week.
Well, it definitely is, being able to speak not to people, but into people.
Love that.
That's the catch. That gets one right there.
That's good.
All right. So one of the things I'm really interested to ask you guys about. So, I know it's the fall of the year here when we're shooting this episode today. It's a beautiful time in Nashville, Tennessee. However, it comes with a lot of unbeautifying things like runny nose, dry throat, and stuff like that. You'll hear it, like Drew and I both, we have our sexy voices today. But the point is there's seasons. There's seasons in life, actual seasons. Weather changes, you change your wardrobe. There's holidays and so on and so forth. And then you guys are in the middle of it's the end of one season together, so to speak, and you're walking into another one. And there's so many people that are right there. And that can be a very exciting time. It can also be a very intimidating or scary time. And I think it just depends on how much the people believe in whatever it is that they're doing, or their ability to do whatever it is that they want to do next. So what advice would you guys have? Virgil, I'll start with you as far as seasons. There's seasons in sports and everything else, especially for multi-sport athletes. And now in business, most people in business are not just doing one thing. They're doing other things. If anything, just raising families, coaching kids, room moms at school, whatever. How are you guys taking the change in seasons that you're doing right now, and in one, being excited but confident? Yeah.
Well, I'll first say this. I'm a huge believer in what Tony Robbins does and Zig Ziglar does, and anybody that's in that realm.
Right.
And what I've gleaned from them is that they are extraordinary, but there's just one of them. What Drew and I bring is two different perspectives that have won championships. And we can see things from a team view. I can see things from an individual view. And then together, we're able to see it. We can speak to more people than one person can because we have multiple perspectives of success. And another thing is that it's way more entertaining on the other side if you have more than one person to bounce ideas off of and two vehicles of a tour de force of a message that you're trying to pass on. Because when Drew's perspectives on what has made his teams, whether it be on the court or in the office, successful, And what mine is on one at a time or with a team, we have different perspectives on what has worked. And sometimes Tony Robbins doesn't bat 100, doesn't bat 1,000. You know, he might bat 750, but you get two people that bat 750, you got every base covered.
That's right.
And to me, that's the most important part of this is like, I want to be able to take and what I call benchmarking, which is I take what I like off Tony Robbins and put it in my front pocket. Take what off Zig Ziglar, put it in my front pocket. And I want to make a recipe out of that and call it mine. And Drew's going to do the same thing. And together, when we have the Drew and Virgil show, it's two different perspectives of what it takes to be great, melded around one message. And it's way more entertaining to be able to bounce ideas off of two people up on stage than it is to hear one. Because Tony's incredible. But if you've already heard the message,
right,
well, it doesn't hit as hard. But if you got two people up there that are driven by the same thing, but providing completely different information, that's what I want to do. Is like, if I'm going to do something, I'm not saying that I'm better than Tony. I'm not saying that we're better than Tony or Zig. We're going to be the best that we can be because we're trying to be better and bring a product better than what they do.
Right.
And that's because we've learned from them. So I have all of Tony's experience that I've watched plus my own. Drew's got all of his experience and who he's watched and his own.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that Tony has never interviewed me, so he doesn't have my perspective.
Right.
And he may or may not have ever interviewed Drew, but he has his own, and he's, in my opinion, the greatest. But I have watched almost everything that's watchable of his, and I have my own. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying that I'm better, but I guarantee you he's not better than me.
Right.
And that's a John Wooden thing. Never go in to an event thinking that you're better than anybody, but don't ever go into an event thinking that they're better than you.
That's good.
I agree with that. I agree with that. What say you, Drew?
Yeah, I believe in the theory of diverse alignment. And what I mean by that is by Virgil being in his full creation, who he's created to be, me being who I'm created to be in my full creation, in our diversity. But because of our like-minded and like-hearted integration, that brings that alignment so that we are purposeful in what we're trying to do. I will say some of the names that you guys named, I appreciate and respect the heck out of a lot of those guys.
Right.
Certainly. But I do know this. The great Shema said this, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. And when a human being is flourishing and living a life of fulfillment, making the impact they were created to make, all four of those aspects are firing off. And so when I think about some of those people that you guys mentioned, I think about what I would call above the line elements: mind and strength, mindsets, habits, characteristics, lifestyle adjustments. But if you want true belief and behavior change, you've got to dip below the line and get into the heart and the soul. And so the reason why I bring that up is a lot of those guys are fantastic in moments, but I compare that to a breath mint. Breath mint is really good in a moment. It can be refreshing, but it's going to go away. But if you want to see significant belief and behavior change, heart and soul have to be integrated. I know this guy's heart. I know what he believes at his core level. I know what my heart, what my soul is set forth on. And so when you have all four of those quadrants intersected together, that's where humans flourish. And so that's what we bring to the table through a diverse alignment of those four quadrants.
Man. And while we're at it, speaking of breath mints, I'm going to hit a little bit with the Listerine spray.
Maybe Listerine will give you a little sponsorship shout out. Right there.
John Maxwell made a statement in one of his books that when I think of what it is that allows us to stand out, he said, before you can ask somebody to grab your hand, you got to touch their heart. And when we're together, we will touch your heart before we ask for your hand.
Right.
Because we are heart-centered coaches. It is much less about winning the game and more about winning the day and winning within yourself. Because at the end of the day, we can't control the outcome, but we can surely control the attitude, and we can surely control the effort, because those are the things that we have control over. We may, as I've multiple times I've said, like, if you are willing to accept the fact that you could play the greatest round, game, whatever you want to call it, and lose, you also have to be willing to accept the fact that you might not play your best and win. And how do you do that? Is because just because you don't have your best game does not mean you don't have your best effort. And if we constantly instill the effort and cultivate an arena and an atmosphere within inside of you that you give it all you have no matter what you have, it creates a situation that's possible that no matter what, you have a chance to win. Doesn't guarantee that you're going to win, but we do know that if you do the right things, you will win at some point. And that's one of the hardest things to accept, is not knowing when all of the work that you've put in is going to come to fruition.
Man, I felt like there was traces of the great Don Meyer right there, wasn't it? Holy cow, that was awesome. It's so cool. Like, you can just feel it when you guys are in the room together. I'm having a lot of fun, and my job's really easy today. You know what I mean? I just get to kick back and enjoy. I can tell that, faith is a big thing in everything that you guys are doing. Everybody's looking to collaborate. I think everybody wants to be around other people. You feed off other people. That's where you find Christ, is in other people, right? It's where you see God. Drew, let's start with you. The importance of your faith in everything that you do, and obviously, choosing the right partner is, it's kind of like what they say about a neighbor. You don't know you've had a good one until you've had a bad one first. Choosing the right life partner in marriage and everything else can be a rough journey. You know what I mean? Like, so talk about how you guys knew that this was a thing. Like, people are looking to figure out how to connect.
Yeah, I'll tell you, and he'll tell you. And he does, and you do as well. Standard is extremely high. The standard is high. So we only have so many moments in a day, and I'm not going to waste a moment. And so I'm certainly not going to waste your time or my time. If there's not direct alignment around a core belief set, I can't deal with that. I get frustrated. And so with that, faith is the cornerstone that everything that happens in my life, my relationship with Jesus Christ being embodied in every aspect of my life, because I am the only church that certain people are ever going to experience. I'm the church. I represent the church every single day through everything that I say, everything through I think, and everything that I do. Wow. Yeah. And so I take that very, very seriously. And so the embodiment of the church is the body of Christ. Who are you in relationship with? We've heard it said many times, you are the average of who you spend the most time with. So my inner circle, you're going to make dang sure that they have a core belief set that is in alignment. We're heading in a direction, and the standard by which we live is extremely high. That's not just measured by the world standard of success. It's also measured through focusing on elements that will lead to fulfillment rather than just achievement.
What about you?
Well, I mean, when you're talking about faith and belief, you're at the core of what makes any engine run, any human run. A faithless person is vacant in so many places that even if they're successful on the field or on the court or in the office, their life is so out of balance that they're in need of something bigger than success.
Sounds a lot like when Dion talks about when he had everything and he was young and he was just empty.
Yeah. So many people. I think at the highest level of superstardom, the level of selfishness required to get to that place. Once you get to that place, you realize how empty that place is because you missed the whole ride to the top.
Man, that's right.
And then you rue the time missed. And then I was call that a crossroads. That's where people either choose to find faith or they find a painkiller because they know that they've thrown away relationships. They've thrown away opportunities. They've missed really important life things because they thought the trophy was the destination.
That's right.
And I am so anti-outcome because I have literally, as a coach and as a player, played as good or coached as good as I could possibly do it and lost.
Right.
And did not have any regret. I had a fraction of pain, but I mean, that's from wanting to win and leaving it all on the field, and it came up short. But those are the greatest moments.
Right.
But there are people that have risen to the top so quickly and so powerfully and profoundly, and then because they're not rooted in faith, they're lost and waiting to be found with all of the gold in their hand. And they realize that gold doesn't really buy them much. You can't buy that level of inner peace.
That's right.
And there's no price tag on that.
The Hitstreak is powered by our partners at HitLab Creative Studios. Whether it's launching your brand new podcast, rebranding your current podcast, or taking advantage of any of their other content packages specifically for your social media needs, the HitLab is a one-stop shop for you. Visit hitlabstudio.com for more. By the way, you know, when you're playing, Virgil's content is so entertaining to me because it's like it's a little bit of comedy at the same time. Like all the things that you should be thinking in your brain when you're hitting a golf shot, he's literally saying it out loud and then hits a perfect shot. It's just so entertaining to me. My dad played around with Fuzzy Zeller. He said it was the same thing. He was talking in his backswing and everything else, and we all talk in our backswing, but like it's vocal, and I don't know. It was such a cool thing. It'd be like playing basketball with you. I think, it's just a different perspective.
Yeah.
Well, I think that what it comes down to is I care that your experience with me matters to you when it's over. Like, wow, that wasn't what I was expecting. Even if you had expectations about what it might be like, I want to blow it away every single time. I know that that's not real, but I go into every particular situation with what I call a proverbial chip on my shoulder. Like, these people probably have an idea what they're going to get, and I am still going to crush them. And I feel like I'm on stage 24/7 because if I'm not on every single time I'm in front of somebody, I don't know who I missed. And I don't have the luxury to treat somebody unfairly. Everybody gets the best of me. And then when it's over, it's over. But it's not going to be because I cheated somebody out of me.
Right.
And that's all I know how to do.
Well, we're going to talk, about how folks can work with you guys, and will those folks know who they are, who should be wanting to work with you guys together? How that actually, all the stuff that you do on your own, how what you're doing together actually elevates those things. But I do have a entertaining question for you, right? So now, obviously, you both take shots in both of your sports. Okay, Drew has made, and it kind of goes back to what you just talked about. The way I played around the golf with you, I don't remember everything you said, but I remember how you made me feel when you said it. And it's a lot like you do with those kids and your trick shots, which leads me to my question. So Drew's been on the biggest platforms possible for trick shots. You take shots in both. Is there a marriage happening with trick shots with basketball and golf coming up? Because I know I'd pay to watch that.
Well, we've actually talked about that more than once. And I think that therein lies, there are so many possibilities. And I think that I'm open to anything. I've never been a trick shotter because most people don't think of me as a gimmick.
Right.
They're coming to me, and the golf is a pretty serious sport. And if you've ever been on a lesson tee with me and the people that I coach, it's nearly life and death to them.
Right.
So there's not a lot of trickery in my day-to-day. I'm actually wide open to it because it's different. But I think what Drew has done, found himself on ESPN a bunch and world records and stuff like that. I mean, I love to watch it because it's inspiring. And I'm hoping that the level of creativity that we can come up with between the both of us, that's entertainment. And I get that. And I think that that's one of the things I'm most looking forward to as we expand the brand of Elevated is to elevate that part of my life.
Yeah, it's I've never done a golf shot, so that would be fun. I guess we'd figure it out if we could. I guess I could coach Virgil in doing a trick golf shot or something, but I've stayed within my lane. But I have run out of creative ideas with the basketball. So, we've done hundreds of basketball shots.
Yep.
But a golf shot would be fun.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it'd be fun. I think that there's so many possibilities. Like therein lies the bigger challenge that I have as an ADD specialist. Is like, if I got a million choices, I'm not worth it. But if you give me two, I'm going to pick one.
That's right.
But you give me a million, I'm going to sit there and like complete glaze.
Yeah.
Like, any of them, I'll pick. Just tell me.
That's right.
So, but yeah, the sky is the limit, and mainly because I don't put any limits out there. I know that if I'm given a vision, then I'm just going to go until it's done. And that's the way I view everything that I do. So like, I'm wide open to the possibilities and never knowing. But I mean, I trick shots in golf. I mean, you see, man, it doesn't have to look very far to find them, right? But once again, it's not just about the trick shot. It's how you make people feel while doing it.
Right.
And that will be the art that we put in it.
That's how it all kind of started for you, is working with kids, and that's how you reached them, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it started with my sons. I mean, all the way as innocent as that, filming it on an iPad to show their grandparents in our backyard. I mean, think about that. That was the seed to millions of people laughing, having a great time, being inspired, being energized, to kids in a gym, to all the lessons we drew from that. Now we've taken it to corporate America. We broke a gimmicky world record, the highest shot ever sitting down in a piece of Ashley furniture, of course, on the Omni Roof Hotel. But then what started to happen as a result of that story, we raised and gave kids a new bed all over the city of Nashville because of that shot. We created sweepstakes, which created sales and transactions for our sales leaders in stores across America because of that shot. So you start to see the exponential impact of something that started as simple as jumping off a diving board in your backyard with your two sons, filming it to send to a grandparent, and how it's had, I think last I checked, we've licensed 29 different languages of those shots around the world.
Wow.
I mean, so you start to think about the impact of just something like that. And then what it started to do in the lives of the kids in the gym, when we brought it, and I've never done it not in front of an audience. So, I'm not into trickery. Every shot that has ever been shot went through the net. There was no gimmick to it.
Right.
And we always did it. Unlike anybody else in the industry, there was always audience or kids or participants or people there.
Right.
And so they saw it with their own eyes.
Witnesses.
Yeah. Witnesses.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool. When I was talking to after the golf round, they were hanging out with Virgil. He told the story, and this is what all the greatest athletes do. They're usually the best guy on the court, but they elevate everybody around them. Magic Johnson was the person you referenced. You're like Magic Johnson, and both you guys are your own. And Drew may say, "Well, I'm not Magic. I'm so and so," but it's the same type thing. You can go down there and make the shot if you need to, but if somebody's got a better shot and it builds somebody up, you dish and make that person around you better, right? Tell that story, Virgil. I love that.
So when I was doing PGA Tour radio, I was obviously I'm a golf teacher and have helped people win on TV, and then I have two other people in the studio that have played on TV, and they're like, well, who's gonna be the Jim Nantz? And who's going to be the Nick Faldo, and who's going to be the Paul Azinger? And I said, I don't care who I need to be, but I've always viewed myself as Magic Johnson. I would prefer to be the general and find the open person and make them elevated in their game, because I see them and they're as important to the game as me in my mind. But if I need to score, I'm going to take it to the hole if I need to score. But if I got to dish it to Kareem, I'm going to dish it to Kareem. If I got James Worthy wide open, I'm going to do that. If I got Byron Scott looking for a three, I'm going to hit Byron Scott. I don't care who I have to be to win. I just want to win. And so I've always used the Magic Johnson reference, and it just came to me in that meeting at PGA Tour Networks was like, I'll whatever. Do you need me to be Jim Nantz? I'll be Jim Nantz. If you need me to be Nick Faldo, I'll be Nick Faldo. I'm Magic. Give me the ball. If you need me to pass it to Kareem, I'm going to get it to him. Worthy, same thing. But if I got to score, if I got to rebound, if I got to do something, you can count on me.
So if he's Magic, who are you?
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry.
So there's a difference in being a shot taker and a shot maker, and that's completely different mindsets. And so I like to think of myself as a shot maker, but I've never met a shot I didn't like either. So maybe I'm more of a shot taker. But that's why we work so well together. He can be Magic, and I'll be over here on the wing waiting my turn. And when the ball's delivered, I'm going to go through my process to make sure I deliver on success that he's counting on me to have.
I heard something about Michael Jordan that I'd never heard before, and I thought I'd heard everything from him, you know. And it was basically, the story was I guess he was older in his career, and he was hanging out about half court, and they were, you know, I bet you I can do this and that. He likes the challenges and stuff. And he basically got into a bet with a guy about it was a large bet, about making a really tough shot from almost half court. And they said, hey man, you're not worried about losing the money? And his response was, why would I worry about missing a shot that I hadn't taken yet? And I hadn't heard that before. And I thought, dang, that's awesome.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Think about the amount of self-belief, faith, and confidence that he has to even have that come out of his mouth.
That's right.
You know, I think,
that's right.
And of all the things I try to cultivate out of people is, I'm not quite sure many people will ever feel the level of confidence that Michael Jordan felt on the basketball court. That's the next level. He's in the Hall of Fame of confidence.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Right. But within your talent, my job is to not make you Michael Jordan. My job is to help you become the best version of yourself.
Right.
Whatever that is. So when people come to me I want to see if I can play on tour. Okay. Just know that even if you don't make it on tour, you can use this game in business to maybe make even more money on the golf course, not playing on the tour, but be able to use it for business. So just because you don't make it onto the PGA or the LPGA tour does not mean you failed.
That's right.
You used this game as a different vehicle than you intended to success. And within that, the game, every game, basketball, golf, baseball, football, whatever, every game is a microcosm of life. But golf really brings it to the table because it's long, it's largely mental, and when you do have the opportunity to deliver, it's a short window, right?
That's right.
Like 60 seconds. And for Tiger Woods, he gets 65 opportunities a day, and for me, it's like 73 or 71 opportunities a day. And for you, it's maybe 82 opportunities, but at the end of the day, every one of your 82 or every one of my 73 or every one of Tiger's 65, he wants to know that he was 65 for 65 on effort, commitment, and execution.
That's right.
And that's all we have, man. So I'm just trying to bat 1,000 per attempt.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because if something happened, interference, I call it interference, that interferes with my concentration, a bad shot, a bad break, a difficult phone call, something, and I shoot 73, but only 65 of the shots I was paying attention to, I don't know what I could have done.
Right.
And at the end of the day, one of my biggest lines is that I want to be able to shake the hand of somebody that beat me. I don't want to have to look in the mirror to see who beat me. And that's all I care about. I used to hate losing. I don't thought that I like losing, but I love the battle of giving everything that I have, whether it be in a book, doing a podcast, on the golf course, playing chess, whatever. I love the battle. I don't mind losing, but I want to feel like I'm in something. And when I'm in it, I'm alive.
Right.
And being alive is what we're really missing in this world, is like being alive. Most people are literally living dead.
Yeah.
And there's nothing going on.
I agree.
They're hollow. And I don't ever want to feel that way.
Right.
I'd rather go all in and go victoryless for 2 years and know that I've literally competed every day to the best of my ability and fell just barely short. Because when I'm doing that, even if I'm losing and I'm giving everything I have, the blueprint for me to be better is right in front of my face.
That's right.
Oh, wow, I lost because this person putts better than me. Oh, wow, I got to drive it better on certain golf courses because it's tighter. And this person crushed me because he hits it so stinking straight.
Right.
Those are the things that I'm looking for to elevate myself.
Yeah.
The Hitstreak is powered by Team Hyder. Team Hyder has been serving you for 11 years and has racked up over 20 national and local awards for excellence in all areas. When it comes to finding the right health plan, we need to consider your family's needs and your family's budget. That's what we do to serve you. To look further and to book an appointment, visit teamhyder.com. Folks, we're hanging out with Drew Maddux and Virgil Herring. You can catch Drew online at coachdrewmaddux.com and on Instagram at drewmaddux45. You can catch Virgil at virgilherring.com and on Instagram at virgil.herring. And obviously the Elevated and Excavated book series on Amazon.com and their podcast, Elevated and Excavated, across all podcast platforms. We got about 15 minutes left, right? So I'm going to get down to it, right? So let's talk about the people that you guys are going to be working with. Now that you're to this transition point and you're going to the next place in your journey, the people, the groups, the companies, that they might be saying, are we the people that need their help? We need help. Are these the guys for us? So let's talk about who that audience is, right?
Well, I was thinking, at first, like law firms, banks, corporations, in which a mission statement is in front of everybody's face. And within that mission statement, it's usually about a paragraph. I'm absolutely certain a couple of those words that are in that company's mission statement appear in our book, right? And then on top of that, there are other words that are similar that we've done great work with, that if you're be able to paint pictures in people's heads of what's possible within the word, words are just really blank canvases for us to paint pictures for. So our job, we don't have a limit on who we think we can help. We know that we could help one person at a time. We could help a company of 10. And I'm absolutely positive we could help a company of 50,000, because within the message, everybody has room to be better, even the CEO. But it's about Virgil, we are very proud of our mission here at Amazon. Okay, let's see that mission. And then you take a couple of their words and you help them remember something that happened in the past that we all remember. Just for example, when the United States beat Russia in hockey in 1980, right? For the gold medal. That's literally one of the most impossible things in sports history. Well, in some cases, what Amazon might be going through, or whoever, I'm just using Amazon just because it's everybody can picture it.
Yeah.
If they can take a little bit of the Miracle on Ice and one of the departments within the company that are struggling and have never done it yet or haven't really achieved anything yet, I'm absolutely positive that the odds aren't stacked against them like it was America college kids going against probably the greatest hockey team, professional or not. It was a miracle.
Right.
And when you can draw something off of something you literally have watched 100 times, and that feeling you get of watching something you can't believe happening with a little bit of patriotism in it, man, it's uplifting. And it's those little pieces of energy that take you to the next level that you didn't know you had in you, because it's more than just like the static you. There's a level of energy that can be brought out of you, but it comes from watching something or being involved in something bigger than yourself. So when the whole company's there, you got 80, 100, 2,000 people's energy kind of tense, because why am I here? Why is there a golf pro and a basketball coach here trying to tell us about how we're going to be better? And then wham, we hit them with it.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, because they can all visualize that kind of success. And the visualization is oftentimes the only thing people need to spearhead them going forward, because they know that if they could do it, I can do it. And within that is the story of how. And like Nick Saban says, There's not one way to be great, but there are not many ways to be great. Our job is to cultivate a way within the confines of your mission statement to take you to the next level.
And then you got to look on the flip side too, equally as such. And this is where two perspectives are better than one. So Virgil brings all of those lessons that he just shared with you. Then you start to look at it and run it through the paradigm of the Russian side of the equation. So you describe Amazon. Amazon correlates to the 1980 Russian team. They were the power.
Right.
So what was their mindsets going into that game? Did they work as hard? What was their process like? What were they thinking? What was their conversations like? Were they settling and just assuming success was going to arrive because that's who they were? And this was the little underdog, and so it's like, you got to be able to look at it both sides. And then you've got to be able, and this is where I'll put us in this category. And I don't mean this one bit of arrogance, but there's a methodology by which you teach with content, personal reflection exercises, storytelling, multimedia, and we bring all of that into a methodology of delivery that is captivating for every single person, regardless contextually of where they are in their life. Now, all of a sudden, we're able to person-center a message to you that can connect to you, where you feel like some days you're in church and the pastor's absolutely only speaking to you in the room.
That's right.
That's what we're trying to do.
Oh, wow. That's when you can have that day, and hopefully it's every day, if not at least just every Sunday when you sit out there. But it happens. My wife and I talk about that a lot. I was like, I felt like he was talking right to me, like, man, that's when it really works. And those are the most effective times when your heart's receiving messages from other people, right? So, how do if somebody's hearing this today and says, "Man, I need to inquire about this," figure out what's next, because obviously, when I guess there'll probably be an inflection point when maybe there might be a version 2 of the book series and the podcast to come around and everything else. That's the cool thing, is it can go on forever. Only God will know, right? You know what I mean? So what's the best way for folks to inquire about all this?
Well, I would say it like this. I think it's the easiest thing to have it streamlined. All right. I feel that it is easier to get me on a day-to-day basis because of Drew's responsibilities through Ashley, Nike basketball. So that would be best for all people to just send their inquiries to me through, Instagram at virgil.herring in a direct message, or send it through, you can email me at virgilherring1@icloud.com. Every single inquiry that comes to me will get sent to Drew. We'll cash it out and we'll figure it out from there. But I think if you leave it to like 4 different emails, it gets lost. So just send it to me.
That's good.
And I'll take care of it to get it in front of the team, Drew and I, and then we'll set the date and the parameters of what it is that you're wanting to provide to your team, university, business, what have you. And
university should be all over this. I'm gonna tell you right now.
It should be. And I just think that, to me, at the end of the day, it's like, however much greatness you want to extract out of your team, university, company, what have you, is how much you're going to use people to help you. Right? So that's all I want. All I want to do is be like, I don't have a limit on who I think I can help. Because everybody, including me, I can't wait to have somebody reach down and help lift me up.
Right.
I don't feel like I'm even close to being as great as I can be. I try real hard every day.
That's right.
But I don't have any idea how much further I can go. But I ain't afraid to go there. And that's the most important part. So just contact me through email, virgilherring1@icloud.com, and I will absolutely be back in touch with you with a double-fisted answer between myself and Drew.
I love it. All right, so I got 2 final questions, one for you and one for you. All right, so I'll start with you, Drew. Representing a big, great, amazing company like Ashley Home Furniture, how cool are they that, like, they get that everything that you're doing on stuff like this only comes back to help them and elevates them because you're elevated, right? Not a lot of companies see that. I don't know if it's insecurity or what.
Right.
But so a lot of the folks that maybe listen to this may not be taking the next move. I've been guilty to not take that next move because I've, of a compliance thing, or I don't want to, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't ask the right questions. How did you accomplish that? I'm amazed at that.
Yeah. Well, back to diverse alignment. So it starts with our leadership body. I mean, it starts with Chad Spencer, who is an incredible friend and the CEO, founder of our organization, with his father, Jim Spencer. And they wake up every day with the same burning passion and purpose that I do, which is we are a organization that is in for the hearts and souls of people disguised as a furniture manufacturer. That's all we're doing. So my basketball program, I hoped, was just camouflage for really a human performance and development system for boys to become men. And there's alignment in that. And so you either look at it this way: we're either transacting furniture or we're transforming life moments that matter in the lives of the people we serve.
Oh, come on.
That starts with our team. It starts with our guests. And then how does that ring move into the communities that we serve?
Man.
And so there's direct alignment between the leadership body, who I am every day. And if we can take anything that we've created, invested in, a platform that was developed, and it will bless somebody in the world, it's fulfilling our mission and our purpose.
Man. All right. And my final question for Virgil, this one's off the cuff here, and it's a little out of left field, but it's because we played golf together at supporting the Lipscomb University baseball team. You got to meet a guy that you had never met before that Drew speaks very highly, and Jeff Forehand, the head coach at Lipscomb University. So what was it like meeting somebody that what he means to him? What was that? How much Jeff means to Drew? What was it like meeting the guy, that like somebody that he holds so high? You know what I mean? Because Coach Forehand is one of the best, man.
Well, first thing you can tell, like I didn't put the two things together until you said that he used to coach at Good Pasture. And I'm like, I remember my first podcast on The Verge I did with Drew. He talked about Jeff Forehand being such a huge impact on his life. But while we were talking before, that resonated with me. I was like, you can tell this guy has brought together men for a long time to deliver a message that was bigger than baseball that came out on the baseball field. Right? And to me, when I was around him, I got that vibe of that's somebody that you can count on, even if you only knew him for 5 minutes. I got the feeling that if he knew that you were suffering, he would stop at nothing to do whatever he could in that moment to make your life better.
Right.
I could tell that he has a way of finding a way to communicate to you, whether that be through what I call Oprah Winfrey or Dr. Phil, whoever he needs to be to make you the person you are supposed to be. That's who he'll be. And of all that's what I got out of it. It's like, man, I can just tell that this guy, I don't know if he resonates more toward Dr. Phil or resonates more toward Oprah Winfrey, but I could tell that whoever he needs to be right now, like when he walks out onto the mound, because he's got to go either take a pitcher out or at least change the energy level and the momentum where it's going. Sometimes he walks out on that mound, he's going to put his arm around you and tell you how good you're doing or how much he believes in you. And sometimes he's going to go out there with his shoe ready to kick you in the pants to get the best out of you. And really one of the hardest things as a coach is to go against your grain. I would always say that I'm more Oprah Winfrey than I am Dr. Phil. But I can promise you that if I have to be Dr. Phil, I am going to be Dr. Phil. I won't like it as much because it doesn't feel authentic to me, because I love to love on people. But by golly, if you've brought me in to win and you don't need Oprah, you need a swift kick, buddy, it's coming. And that's how I view it. And that's what Jeff did for me. I was like going, dude, this guy, I could tell just by the 15-minute conversation we had while we were waiting on the tee box that he had that characteristic.
No doubt. The Hitstreak is powered by Rack Financial. When it comes to your credit card merchant processing, Rack Financial is efficient, reliable, and trusted. At the end of the day, when it comes to processing your credit card payments, they make it simple, the way it's supposed to be. Check out Rack Financial. Folks, you got to get elevated and excavated, right? Guys, I can't thank y'all enough for hanging with me today. I was really excited about this, if you can't tell. Really, really excited. I thank you guys so much. Any final thoughts as we bring this sucker to a close?
And I would just love to say thank you for what you do every day. Thank you for the way that you love, lead, and serve and provide encouragement to so many people. Congratulations on 100 episodes of the Hitstreak as well.
Thank you.
And I considered it the highest level of honor to be invited back and to certainly do it with one of my great friends on the planet. This was a pleasure. And so just thank you for what you do, and congratulations for the success that you've had with the Hitstreak.
Thank you.
Well, I would say like that, right? In many ways, my life is better because of Drew. But I can now also say that my life is better because of Nick. I've had the opportunity now for, I guess we're going on 4 months now, 4.5 months, of being impacted by what it is that you bring to the table. And you're more than just a businessman, right? You're a heart-centered guy who is driven to be the best that you can be, but you love to take people on the ride with you. And to be able to sit in a room with the three of us, it's such a feel-good vibe because I know it's authentic, it's real, and I know that you want the best for me as much as I want the best for you. And that's how a rising tide raises every boat. It takes a bunch of people with the like-mindedness to really try to elevate one thing, and in the process of elevating one thing, you elevate every single thing. But you got to pick the right ones, and that's the most important thing. And I've just been blessed because I've had the opportunity to be blessed by Drew and now by you.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. Well, folks, check out get the books on Amazon, Elevated and Excavated. Check out all 100 episodes of the podcast, because these guys are coming to you. They're coming to a stage near you. Get ready, folks. It's coming. It's coming, right? So, guys, thanks so much for hanging on me today. This was absolutely fantastic. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of The Hitstreak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. God bless.